Welcome to Empath Unplugged, a frequent release podcast of raw and philosophical reflections on well-being, love, and the meaning of life. Brought to you by your host, Esther Bertram, founder of The Insel, a rejuvenation island and community for empaths. Expect topics such as philosophy, psychology, art, culture, spirit, science, holistic health, and the occasional beach fire song to be part of your wonder ride to your oceanside escape. It's time to breathe in the salty air and bask in the soothing warm sun to relax, reflect, and vibe along with a fellow empath to rejuvenate. As most episodes refer to my 1-2-3 theory, I will provide an overview of it here for new listeners. Feel free to skip ahead 4 minutes if you know it already. In my 20s, I created 2 interlocking theories as I needed a framework for 3 reasons. 1, to know how to optimize my holistic well-being. 2, to have mutually beneficial relationships and letting go of toxic relationships and tangulations with narcissists. 3, to have lots of time and energy to give into my positive impact businesses and contribute to the world in a meaningful way. I've now spent 2 decades putting the theories into practice and they work, hence me now sharing them with the world. The 1-2-3 theory is a way to assess if you are optimized and able to give the most amount of love and energy to the world for the longest sustained time. The 5-finger theory explores each domain of holistic health and works in conjunction with the 1-2-3 theory and helps you calibrate each department. To have maximum output in your life, the 1-2-3 theory states you need to be in the order of the 1-2-3. 1 is yourself. 2 are your loved ones. 3 is the rest of the world or your contribution. When you nurture your holistic well-being first, 1, then you are better able to have mutually beneficial relationships, 2. And as a byproduct of this combination, you have so much excess energy to give, 3, your contribution to the world. This order of the 1-2-3 ensures maximum output in all departments for the longest duration. Some people are 3-2-1s or 3-1-2s, putting their cause, business, or mission before anything else. This isn't sustainable long-term if you value health and relationships. Many empaths, like I was in the past, have the default setting of being a 2-1-3, giving to others before themselves. But that blocks their flow into their 3, and as a consequence, they have little time and energy for their contribution. It's particularly dangerous to be a 2-1-3 when you are together with or around a narcissist, as they are double 1-2-3s or double 1-3-2s, where they put themselves first twice in an energy vamping way. When an empath has a 2 at the start, giving to others first, this fits like a jigsaw into the narcissist double 1. This bond is notoriously risky for empaths and often hard to break. So I'm on a mission to help empaths become strong 1-2-3s, or what I like to call super empaths, so they can thrive in life, love, and work, and not get caught wasting years of their precious life in tangulations. This podcast, the empath community I have built, and my book, The 1-2-3 Theory, are all part of achieving this mission. To dive deeper into both theories, head over to the123theory.com, where you can read or listen to my book. Now that you have the basic gist of the 1-2-3 theory, let's begin this podcast. Hello, listeners. Welcome to podcast episode number 9. How can empaths stop attracting narcissists? So this is a very common topic that many empaths need to face, both internally and externally. So I thought it was worth doing a podcast episode just on this. And if we look at the phrasing of the topic of how can empaths stop attracting narcissists, it's more about us taking responsibility. It's not about changing a narcissist or blaming a narcissist. It's remembering that all dancers take 2 to tango. And so we're just looking at what lives on our side of that dance, and what can we do to stop dancing with them if we don't want to dance with them? So that's what we're covering today. So it's a beautiful day again at the Insel. I just would like to explain a little bit what I can see out the window here where I'm sitting is a beautiful sparkling ocean. There are a lot of birds out today. This morning they were making a big raucous song. And yeah, the sun is shining. I think spring is on the way, and there's movement with the castle that I'm building on the land. So it feels like a good week this week. And yeah, it's a great time to make this podcast. So let's dive in. So a lot of the podcasts I'm making are all about this journey from being an empath into transforming into a super empath. So when you're a super empath, you're really utilizing the best aspects of being an empath and not suffering the setbacks so much. So you're converting the setbacks into superpowers. And that's what the book that I wrote and this podcast is all about, is supporting empaths towards this state of super empathdom. And when you are a super empath, when you're looking at the 1, 2, 3 theory, the number 2 is about your relationships. And so a super empath is a really strong 1, 2, 3. And the 2 in the equation is how you engage with and flow with your relationships. And they're mutually beneficial when you're a super empath. They're not usually dances with people that take away your energy and time and love and don't give you anything in return. So I think the ultimate state to get towards when you want to really have a bigger impact in life is having really mutually beneficial relationships in your closer circle. And I think when you're an evolved empath, you've moved past this blaming others, and I think we want to take responsibility. We anyway, by default, like taking responsibility often too much for other people. But in this particular situation, there is a lot we can do as the other person in this dance to stop the attraction happening, so we can dance with people that it's mutually beneficial to dance with. So when we do stop these energy vamps, it's another way to look at it, we can truly begin to thrive. And in my book, The 1, 2, 3 Theory, I talk about quite often the metaphor of the ocean of emotion. And because I see empaths needing to swim or surf or live in this world a lot, because that's the domain that they're often just feeling and being in, is the world of emotions. And I talk about the narcissists as the narc sharks. So they're the sharks of the sea. And yeah, I think learning how to thrive within your ocean and be aware of the predators is a really good thing to do when you want to become a super empath. So our situation that we face as empaths is, well, how I see it anyway, is I see empaths, particularly people who lead with their heart, shine with their heart, are really like bright lights. And it's a bit like moths to a flame. When you shine brightly, or actually it's probably better to say, because they're just getting drawn into the light, it's probably better to say black holes. If you are a bright light and you have a black hole nearby, no light can escape it. It just, who knows where it ends up, down a wormhole into another cosmos. But it basically, one thing is for sure, it takes away the light and it doesn't give anything in return. So when we are a shining, bright, giving heart, it's quite common that people around want to take from that. And let's say that some narcissists are quite like black holes because they can't help being like that, or maybe they can, but sometimes they just are like that. And our light can just disappear, and we don't have much left for ourselves or other people. But there's a big difference between shining brightly as a person and people basking in that light and even giving back to that light and making you shine brighter as a light than when they consume it and zap it or extinguish the light. And yeah, it can leave us feeling very depleted if we are in that situation, especially if we're not yet a thriving one out of the 1, 2, 3. And because when you're a 1, you're kind of plugged into an energy source that you've self-generated by balancing your mind, heart, body, soul, purpose, facing your shadows. And you can shine extremely bright then, and black holes kind of disappear into that, and you're not affected because you've got strong boundaries. But until you are that, it's a dangerous situation to be anywhere near black holes because our light isn't quite bright enough. And the other thing we face is often we feel guilt, and we feel guilty for not helping or feeding into or rescuing people sometimes, because when we know ourselves as being the kind one, the one that gives, the one that is there for people, especially if you've been an empath all your life. It's almost like it's formed an identity, and whether it's an ego identity with form, as Eckhart Tolle likes to phrase it, it can be. But regardless, if we know ourselves as a kind person, finding that new balance where you can still be kind, but you're not just getting absorbed by somebody else. So you're actually being kind to yourself as well, and as first and foremost, so your holistic well-being is looked after. There's a big difference there. And I think we shouldn't feel guilty about giving to ourselves, because we will have more energy, more sustainable energy for a longer term if we do so. I just actually think it's plain wrong and not good if we feel guilty about doing that, because it's really important that we self-nurture. And another really important thing to remember is healthy and mutually beneficial relationships. They make you shine brighter. And that's as simple as it is. But if you look at your closest relationships you have at the moment, and you can assess them, you can see, okay, which ones. I always see it like this infinity sign where it's a flow and a dance between the two. Which ones of them are doing that? And just being around them, there's a greater than the sum of the parts output, because you give to them, they give to you, and it's a beautiful flow. It's almost like putting two chemicals in a beaker in science class. Sometimes when you put the right two together, a beautiful output will come. It might turn purple or make lights or make smoke, or sometimes the chemicals will attack each other, and sometimes one will take over the other. So when we are in beautiful, mutually beneficial relationships, it's harmonious and there's a bigger output than the sum of the parts. And if you look at your relationships, and if somebody in your sphere doesn't want you to shine brightly or doesn't support you to be the brightest you can be, they're likely a black hole of some kind. And I think they're best to be avoided, especially if you're a 2-1-3. Until you become a super empath, those kind of relationships are a bit dangerous, because you might not even realize, but your energy and love and time can be zapped away. And yeah, it's just holding you back from your quest of getting to a really high thrive life where you can impact more people and more quality impact for yourself and your loved ones. So yeah, it's much safer to be around black holes then, because when you're a shining star or sun star, black holes have no weight, or what do you call it? No power over a bright sun. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience with how I have stopped attracting narcissists. So first I'll look internally. So what have I done internally? Well, a big thing is my 1-2-3 theory, which if you want to learn more about, go and read my book at the123theory.com. And it's all based down to my theories, which is my 1-2-3 theory, which is looking after yourself, having mutually beneficial relationships, and as an output, giving into the world all your excess energy and having contributions. And part of that is looking after your well-being, the number one, which is my 5-finger theory, which is all about balancing mind, heart, body, soul, purpose, and facing your shadows. Now, although the theories are quite simple, it's hard. It's a long process. It's an ongoing process to live them. I've been doing them for a couple of decades now, and it's still ongoing. And it's like a nuanced machine, and tweaking your engine all the way to optimize. And there's times that you are doing better, and times you could be doing better. So that's what I've been doing internally, on the inside, as much as I can all the time, continually optimizing. But externally, this may be a bit of a cheat of the system. I wanted a permanent solution because I think there are a lot of narcissists out there in the world. And no matter, even when you become a super empath, it's very easy to fall back into old patterns, especially if you've got really, let's call them super narcissists. It's like war of the different pattern behaviors and people. So I wanted a permanent solution that just makes it easier to maintain the internal strength for this ongoing situation. And the fastest and easiest and most permanent solution is actually to remove myself from the mainland world and find a safe haven where I feel really physically in a distance from the world, but still close enough that I can feel protected. So I now live on an island, and there's this energetic moat. If any of you have heard my other podcasts, I might have mentioned it. And that's why my company is the Insel, which means island in German. And it's my safe haven that keeps me protected physically from the mainland. And I'm able to, it's very nurturing for me to do my internal work and my creative work and all my businesses. So that's a permanent solution. But I'm going to go on a little segue here, sidetrack, because of my last episode that I did about synchronicity and animal totems and everything. That was a week ago now, and some funny things have happened this week, and I just want to tell you a few of them because they were one of those moments again that are making me smile a lot, and more winks from the universe, which kind of proved the points of the synchronicity after I just talked about it last week. Anyway, a couple of years ago, went up to a place, it's a beautiful area of Australia called the Whitsundays, and went to this island, Long Island. It's a bit remote, and it was just absolutely stunning. I love islands, and I love the atmosphere of being on islands. Anyway, this is very tropical. Where I live now here is semi-tropical, but that's even more tropical. And in the restaurant, because it's hot weather, so you have all open doors. It's actually open to they've just got bits of beautiful, lush greenery all around, and there's no walls. It's just a roof over all the tables and chairs. Anyway, birds are singing again. Anyway, this bird came in every night to this open restaurant at nighttime. Most birds go to sleep at nighttime, and apart from owls and certain predator ones. And I'd never seen a bird like this before. And it's quite tall, probably the size of a penguin, I guess, and with stick legs and tall neck. And it would come and just stand and stare. They stand like a statue. And I had never seen a bird like this. One, that it was awake at night. Two, that it just came into the restaurant. Three, that it stands like a statue, and it has these eyes and such presence and mindfulness in the moment. And I've told multiple people about this occurrence, and I described it as the bird seeing into your soul, because that's what it felt like. It would just stare deep into your soul, like it could see me. It could really, really see me, and I could see it, and I just loved it. I felt I had never met an animal with such presence. It's a bit like when I had my dog, my best dog in the world, Honey, who moved with me from Australia to Germany to England. She lived till she was 16. She had a very deep presence too, and she would look me in the eye, and we would talk to each other through our thoughts. And just such attention to the moment and true presence. And this bird had that, and haven't experienced that before in a bird. Anyway, I found out what it was. It's called a curlew, and it became my new favourite bird. And I told people about it. And that was in August. Later that year, this is 2 or 3 years ago, in October, and when we're looking around for a place to live, came to this island where I am now and fell in love with it. Wasn't planning to already build that fast, but it just felt like home, and bought, and I'm in a build process. It's still getting built at the moment. But I found out that this bird, which I'd already decided was my favourite bird a few months ago, there are heaps of them here, and it's like their haven, and it's basically their island, I think. I think it feels like, because they're the ones everywhere, and they scream. They sound like somebody being killed at night. Another quirky thing about their originalness, and they gather, they all, just at dusk or even in the night, they go and meet on the road. Like they're usually in pairs, but then they meet up and have their party, and they scream, like shrieking this blood-curdling noise that it's so freaky when you don't know what it is. But anyway, they're gorgeous. Anyway, I've been hanging out with them all year, and the little baby one was born last Christmas Eve next door, and the 3 on the block next door, and all 3 of them are hanging out. And anyway, after me doing the podcast episode last week about looking up animals, and I hadn't ever looked up the meaning of a curlew. I probably should have, because this is their island and there's heaps of them and they're my favourite. But I went to my block of land. Actually, no, I had a chat with my friend Nerida, and I was telling her about, because I'm building a wellbeing space, an event space for the Insel on the other block of land, and it's going to be a beautiful place for empaths and vegans, and I'll be able to put on concerts and talks, and I hope to do TEDx talks there too. Anyway, I was telling Nerida how I'm really craving just the elements at the moment, and getting back, because I've just bought a jacuzzi for part of it and a fire pit area, and I'm doing it on the land and the air, so I've got the elements going on with water, fire, air and earth. And I was telling her how I'm craving that at the moment, and because I've done a lot of just computer work for ages, and doing this build process has been quite stressy, and I just want to get onto the block and create this wellbeing space and Airbnb. And myself, I want to just sit in the elements. I want to have a fire and have a jacuzzi and just really get back to simple things. Anyway, I told her about that, and I even told her about my latest podcast and about the dolphins that I saw last week, and because she fully gets all of that, how synchronicity and totems and things are for me and my brain. Her brain works quite similarly. Anyway, I told her about that. Then the next day, I went to the block of land right where I'm going to put the fire pit across from the spa, and there was a curlew sitting in the grass, like I thought it was nesting, and it was right in the spot where I'm going to be doing the fire pit area. And I just thought, oh my goodness, it's so another animal symbolism, and especially after last week's synchronicity, that the curlew was sitting right in that spot. And then I thought, actually, I've never even looked up the meaning of a curlew, and I probably should, because they are my favorite, and you know, they had that deep and meaningful thing with one up at the Whit Sundays. Anyway, I looked it up, and it says, as part of the spirit animal, it's a master of the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. It said that they have a really strong psychic ability, and they scream to warn others about the fires and rain. And they've got a really kind and caring nature, and they will jump and help out people when they're in need. So already when I was reading that, I was going, oh my God, I just was saying about the elements, and it's sitting in that spot, and it's a curlew. But then it went on to say, through empathy, the curlew sees the auras of humans. And then I thought, oh my God, of course they're empaths. This is the island of empath birds. Of course, this is where I felt home and ended up buying, and why I had that deep and meaningful, engagement with the curlew up at the Whit Sundays. And it's because they're empaths, and I'm an empath, and I thought I was an animal empath, but they're human empaths towards humans. So it was just so beautiful and poetic. And again, the timing of it, it felt again like, so I sent the screenshot to Nera. I said, oh my God, look what we were talking about last night. And it was just there. And I just had talked about synchronicities and animal totems. And anyway, it was one of those winks from the universe again. And then yesterday, the 111s came back again, and just I had 3 in a row, and I was like, oh, okay, yes. Pieces the jigsaw puzzle again. And it's because it's almost like I activated it, and by doing a podcast on it, so it's come back stronger. Anyway, I thought I would share those little stories because they connected to the last week's one. And yeah, I just wanted to also say about my ongoing work to be a 1, 2, 3. I want to jump into now some things you could do for this side of the dance where we're looking at how we can stop narcissists. So obviously the most permanent solution is the internal work we can do, which is, from my perspective, becoming a 1, 2, 3, a really strong, because narcissists prey on 2 1 3s and 2 3 1s. So the stronger we can be a 1, we're just not attractive to them because we don't give enough to them, because a 2 1 3 feeds into the double 1 of a narcissist. And when we're a 1 2 3, I think we're pretty much invisible to a narcissist. So that is the permanent solution, but it is a long path to become a super empath, or it can be, because it takes a lot of self-work and tweaks to your life, and sometimes therapy, and it's not something you can just change overnight, or maybe you can, but it's usually something that's it just to learn the new habits, because you have to do it in all the departments: your mental space, your emotional space, your physical space, your spiritual space, your purpose and your contribution and facing your shadow. So there are a lot of aspects that need to be looked at and tweaked, and that can be a long-term thing. Again, you can read my book, The 1, 2, 3 Theory. If this resonates with you, working it out like that and looking at holistic health in a more categorical way, that may help you. But if you want a quick fix, because that's a long-term fix, and obviously the other permanent solution is removing yourself, moving to an island. But I'm not advocating that everyone should just get away from society, because that's also not. We want to be strong empaths in the world as well. So I'm going to look at some quick fixes. And I would say, like, if you're at work and you're around narcissists at work as an empath, I would really try to avoid engaging them at all. Just try to move your desk, or just try to put up a boundary and hang out with people that are more mutually beneficial. And if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, I highly suggest seeking outside counsel. I know there was a time I was 19 and I needed to escape a very destructive relationship, and it was only through forming a really beautiful friendship with my friend Charlie at university, and he was so kind and caring, and he was treating me better than my own partner. And when I asked him for advice, and he said, look at it from the moon, perspective. I said, I want one word, and he said perspective, and it literally rocked my world. And his pure kindness and care enabled me to have inner strength and built my self-esteem, to be honest. And Charlie, I don't know if you ever listen to these podcasts. We're still friends. I love you to death, and thank you so much for that care you gave me back then, because my life changed so dramatically. Charlie and I ended up living together and writing music together, and we've made albums together, and did a tour around Europe, and he's just amazing. And so I advise anyone, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist or somebody that's some kind of black hole energy, seek outside counsel. Another thing you could do is join our community. We have a lot of coaches and therapists within our empath community at theinzel.com. And yeah, just connecting with people that are more conducive to your holistic well-being is highly, highly recommended. So if you can't remove yourself from the narcissist, and you know you need to work on becoming a 1, 2, 3, so you might be a 2, 1, 3, there's another thing you can do as a quick fix. And when we look into nature at different ways that animals survive and work with other animals, there's one particular one, a chameleon, that has a really good trick up its sleeve, and that's using this method where you can change the color of your skin to match an environment. So it's a kind of deception in a way, but it is a quick fix to not be seen as the empath or the 2, 1, 3 empath that you may currently be. And it's almost like fake it to make it. That's a psychological thing, actually. There's been a lot of studies on if you force yourself to smile, it actually does make you happier. It connects with things in your brain, and you can fake it to make it with something. So if you put up a shield in front of yourself, or change the chameleon yourselves, and even if you're not yet truly a 1, 2, 3, you just believe it and say it and be it as fake it to make it as a 1, 2, 3. So boost up your confidence. It's almost like becoming a peacock. Fluff up your feathers. Put up this shield. You could even try the mirroring technique. So you could be like the narcissist, like mirroring back to them how they would be, which is a double 1, 2, 3. Even you trying to be a double 1, 2, 3 probably won't work, because you're probably too much of an empath. But you might even go halfway there, what do they say? Shoot for the stars and you arrive at the moon. You might become even a pseudo 1, 2, 3 for a while if you copy some of their behavior. So that can kind of change the color of your 2, 1, 3 to a 1, 2, 3, that you may be less interesting to them. Because as long as you stay in that, back to that episode I talked about dominance and submissive, as long as you stay in that submissive situation, you will be an energy source for them and they will be a black hole to your light. But if you can step in front of yourself, put up your shield, fluff up your feathers, mirror them like them, it's a short-term solution. This is only if you can't get away from them in the short term. And meanwhile, in the background, you can work on becoming a real 1, 2, 3, and which will just take time. And yeah, that's a little bit of a quick fix hack. And yeah, I think that when you have people in your life who really make you brighter and value you and don't just take from you, you should really appreciate and love that, because that's the most beautiful thing. And give them your time and your energy. They are the ones who deserve it. The ones who see you for who you are, the ones who value you, the ones that make you shine brighter and only want you to be the brightest version of yourself. They are your mutually beneficial relationships that you can have your infinity, beautiful waltz dance with. Yeah. So there's some little ideas for the moment. And yeah, to go further into the theories, I think I mentioned already before, you can check out the 1, 2, 3 theory book, because that whole book is a guide how to thrive in life, love and work. And yeah, this podcast, each episode will be one more bit of the puzzle of getting towards that thriving state of a super empath. And yeah, shining and brightening up the world. And it's all because I have a really strong vision of this almost army, and I call it an army because life is sometimes a bit like a war. But I see it as a positive, the only positive army. I do not like any kind of war. It's ridiculous. I'm so much a hippie, peace, love and happiness pacifist. But when I imagine this, maybe I shouldn't call it an army, let's say just this group of super empaths where they're leading the heart-led society, because only people who are integrated, emotionally intelligent with big hearts can lead the way of a heart-led society. I have this vision of them as diamonds showing the way forward for everybody. I mean, the world has a few predictions that aren't that great on multiple levels, but I like to hold on to this vision of an integrated society where people have been able to tune into their hearts and let love and connection and honesty and compassion and kindness for each other, for the animals, for the planet, to lead the way so we can collectively have a bigger and better impact. So I see empaths as a really important part of that, because I feel like we have the tools within us to show the way, lead the way with our light. But it's not easy, though. It's almost like we start at a disadvantage because of often from trauma or from not understanding our gifts or being sucked up into tangulations with narcissists. So we almost have this setback, but we have the biggest capacity if we get through that and heal that, to then we might start behind a pack, but then we could lead the pack if we go through that process, because I think the heart has a bigger strength than an ego. The heart can shine brighter and for more people than just a solitary, narcissistic-led, ego-driven world. Therefore, once an empath has got to that super empath state, they're easily able to run the long distance and shine the light for others. That's my vision anyway. So I'm looking forward to anyone I hear about that feels like you have been a 213 or a 231 starting the self-development process. If you haven't already, it's almost like being a caterpillar and going into your cocoon so you can emerge as this beautiful 1, 2, 3 butterfly. And if this podcast is helping you do that, I'm really happy, and I'll keep making them just in case it is helping anybody. And today's story time or song time, I'm actually going to do something I haven't done before. And I started a few years ago a publishing company called Conscious Fiction because of it actually was birthed from my songwriting, and I wrote this book, November Fox, for teenagers. It's based on the 1, 2, 3 theory and the 5-finger theory, but it's sci-fi fantasy through dimensions of consciousness about November Fox, who's understanding this Rubik's Cube, which is a teleporting cube through different layers of consciousness about understanding holistic health. Anyway, that gave birth to my publishing house, Conscious Fiction. And I started writing books for babies and toddlers to plant seeds of consciousness and wisdom from a very early age. And one of the stories is the one I'm thinking of goes well with today's topic. It's called Sadie the Snail, and I'm happy being me. And it's about being different, but embracing that difference. And I see empaths as being quite different. And many of us have self-esteem issues or trauma we need to heal, and we might feel odd compared to others in certain situations. But this story is about being proud and happy with yourself just the way you are, and having strong self-esteem and doing things your way on your terms. Because although you might be different, I see it as a really beautiful difference. And even if narcissists rule much of the world, I really see empaths as having a big true strength. And it's really brave to lead with your heart and your uniqueness. So, yeah, it's a story about that. It's also a story about friendship and being seen for your values and not feeling alone. And when I first wrote it, I wrote it for Nerida, who I mentioned in the story. She's been with one of my best friends since I was actually probably my longest friend since I was, I think, 6 years old. She's a few years older than my mum, and she's still one of my very best friends. So she's always seen my uniqueness and embraced it. So I dedicated this story to her. But today's story time, I'm actually going to dedicate to another person as well. And it's for Marcus, my very first patron. And I just want to thank you, Marcus. I've known Marcus since my days in Berlin. He used to help me with my concerts and sold my CDs, and he's always almost seen my light and supported me and my uniqueness and my quirks. And being my first patron now of the Empath Unplugged show, I just want to thank you, Marcus. It really means the world to me. So I'm going to dedicate today's story time to you. And thank you. So I haven't ever tried reading a story on the podcast because you can't see the pictures. So I'm going to have to describe them. So the front cover is this snail, an orange snail with big beady eyes. It's called Sadie the Snail. I'm happy being me. Okay. And the first picture is 2 butterflies playing tennis over a flower, and Sadie's going along upside down right in the middle of their game. And let's begin. Sadie, Sadie, get out of the way. Don't you know it's dangerous to slide right where we play? And then the next page is, I'm happy sliding where I am. I'm happy sliding free. I'm happy sliding upside down. I'm happy being me. And the next page is little lady beetles all behind Sadie. Sadie, Sadie, why are you so slow? You're always getting in our way. Sadie, won't you go? I'm happy sliding at this pace. I'm happy sliding free. I'm happy sliding down this way. I'm happy being me. Then the next page is a grasshopper and Sadie sliding up this stalk nearby. Sadie, Sadie, your slime is just like glue. Everything is sticky now. I'm so glad I'm not you. And then Sadie says, I'm happy sliding with my trail. I'm happy sliding free. I'm happy I know where to go. I'm happy being me. And the next page is some bees with their beehive and Sadie going up a flower. Sadie, Sadie, where is your real home? Don't you long for settling down, or will you always roam? I'm happy sliding with my shell. I'm happy sliding free. I'm happy with my home right here. I'm happy being me. And then we've got a little mouse on top of a mushroom. Sadie, Sadie, your eyes are really long. No one else here looks like you. I'm not sure you belong. And Sadie says, my eyes can cry just like yours, and they can also see. But now they cry with happiness. I'm happy being me. And then the next page is all these speech bubbles saying, slow, in the way, sticky, no home, long eyes. And then we've got a big magenta coloured frog and the frog says, wrong, wrong, wrong. You are all very wrong. Sadie is not in the way. She's mindful as can be. Sadie may be sometimes slow, but she's patient just to be. And the next page is, you can see all where Sadie has been snailing along. She's actually, the next page reveals that she's written her name, Sadie, across all of the flowers and trunks and mushrooms. It's quite clever. And the frog says, Sadie has a sticky trail, but she's creative. Can't you see? Sadie carries her home with her. She's adventurous and free. Next page is, but most of all, she's very unique, and for that she'll always be... ... Last page, my best friend. The end. So that was Sadie the Snail. I'm happy being me. And if you'd like to get that book for a little one in your life and help them learn about the wonders of being unique and having self-confidence just the way you are, head over to consciousfiction.com.au and you can have a copy of it there. So that's it for today's podcast. It's been lovely sharing another moment with you, and I look forward to hanging out on the next one. Have a beautiful week. Bye. Today's episode is sponsored by StepByStepGuitarLessons.com, your go-to course if you're an absolute beginner and want to learn guitar. I have taught hundreds of students with my fast track method from ages 6 to 80. With lifetime access, these self-paced online lessons mean you can learn in the comfort of your own home. The bite-sized lessons are very easy to follow, and the platform keeps track of your progress. This course is tailored for absolute newbies and is much more effective than random YouTube videos or learning from your Uncle Steve, who may not have the patience required to teach at a true beginner's pace. You are guaranteed to get fast results, and if you don't like the learning style, there is a 30-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Plus, it only costs the price of 2 in-person lessons, but you get over 50. There are several studies that prove that learning a musical instrument is the only activity to light up almost all areas of the brain at once. Making music has the power to soothe your soul, heal your body, and bring you true joy. Not to mention, if you've always wanted to be a rock star, learning guitar is your ticket to do so. So if you're ready to learn or want to gift it to a friend, head over to stepbystepguitarlessons.com and enroll today. You've been listening to Empath Unplugged, a frequent release podcast of raw and philosophical reflections on well-being, love, and the meaning of life. Brought to you by your host, Esther Bertram, founder of The Insel, a rejuvenation island and community for empaths. For more information or to join the community, head over to theinsel.com, theinsel.com. If you have found value from this episode and would like to become a patron to support future episodes and gain access to exclusive content only available to patrons, head over to empathunplugged.com and sign up to be part of the inner circle. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful and rejuvenating week. Till next time, bye-bye.
How does it feel to hold this heart of mine? How does it feel? Heaven so